Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Green Arrow FPL podcast and Fantasy Football Hub as we look ahead to blank game week 26 after an interesting double game week 25, if you can call it that, to say the least. I'm looking forward to hearing all our 160, 180 point scores from this massive double with the two best teams in the league smashing their easy fixtures. I can't wait to chat about that, Rich. My name is Fergi, and I'm here with Rich Clarke. Rich, how are you? And what colour was your arrow in double game week 25?
Hi, Fergie. Hi, everyone. I got a green.
Boom.
So that's the least that one would hope to expect playing a chip, right? You play one of your chips, you think, I'm going to get a green arrow. Nailed on. I spent ages preparing for this week, and what a week it was. So I can't complain. I've got 100k rank rise,
Nice.
which is decent progress from back in the field, but I'm climbing up gradually, and so personally I'm satisfied with it. But it like everybody, it could have been so much more, and for me it wasn't really necessarily the double game weekers that I had in my side that scored all the big points. It was the single game weekers that I'd held on to. So holding on to Watkins, obviously 13 points. Saka ever present, 15 points. It was those guys that I think quite a few people had sold to get De Bruyne in,
Idiots.
sold to maybe kept Solanke, get more doublers in, that kind of thing. And just holding on to these guys has really paid off and really hurt likes of yourself, Fergie, in recent weeks. So I'm okay. The triple captain was pretty much ubiquitous. I think everybody in the community seemed to be, maybe with about a 5% exception, seemed to be on Haaland. And I think we'll get the spaffometer out in a little while, but I think it feels like a meh to me.
So.
In terms of I've had many triple captains where I've not got a return at all, or your captain's got injured 1 point and gone off after 5 minutes. It wasn't that bad, but across 2 home games, 2 lots of 90 minutes for Haaland, I think something approaching 2.5 to 3 xG across the 2 games to get 1 goal does feel very disappointing, doesn't it?
You have 9. Was it 9 shots he had, didn't he, on the weekend? Incredible. Yeah. Well played, Rich. Good score, 92. Very, very good. All your kind of wild card and main chips in hand as well, so looking good. Different story for me, sadly, as we've kind of alluded to over the last 2 weeks. If you ever want to look at, if any students or anyone wants to do a study on how to waste your wild card and variance, just come over here, give me a chat, have a chat with me, and we'll talk you through it. But yeah, a bit of a disaster the last 2 weeks have been. Obviously sold Saka, Watkins, and Solanke on wild card to obviously load up for the double game weekers. A couple of minor successes, very minor, I'd say that. Kaminsky, 7 points. I think he made some 10 saves last night.
Dozens of saves, but I think he conceded 6 or 7 goals, didn't he? But he
and the Van Dijk goal was ridiculously welcome at the end, because obviously wasn't expecting that. When they conceded, it was just right, that's it, game week done. But yeah, Richarlison, I brought in for Saka 2 weeks ago. It's a bit of we have a bit of a differential attack the fixtures. Saka's got 31 points in that time to Richarlison's 4. De Bruyne 2 points, Foden 5, Darwin 5, Jota 4, Doughty 1 point.
Doughty, yeah.
And I think he's gone off injured as well, haven't he?
Yeah, I did limp off, but I mean, very lively. Probably Luton's most influential player from the commentary. I mean, obviously couldn't watch it in this country, but from the commentary, it seems to be mentioning Doughty all the time. But there's no points there.
He's very involved. He created 9 big chances. He created 9 chances in 9 key passes in game week 24.
Right.
For 0 returns as well. And then just to rub the salt in the wound, Adebayo, who I brought in obviously as a double game week, didn't make the double game week. I did get a netto 5 points off the bench, but so 77 points. And just to rub salt,
that's with how many double? That's 9 double game weeks.
9 doublers. And
wow.
FPL Freddy in the chat. FPL chat. He put, I went into the double game week with only Haaland, Jota and Reguilon Dublin, no hits taken, expecting the biggest red arrow in history, and somehow came away with 96 points. So FPL Fred went into a double game week, which featured Man City and Liverpool, with 3 doublers. I went in with 9 doublers. He's got 96 points, and I've got 77. Someone worked that out for me.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it's not like you've been casual about it, is it? Really, you've absolutely gone all in there, and with whatever it is, 19 man games or something. No, 21 man games or something. I can't remember, but it's just incredible. And you got 70.
And that was with the Virgil goal at the end. If he hadn't scored at the end, it would have been like early 70s. But we move. Love for the game and all that. We move on to next week. I've currently only got 10 players, and that includes a potentially injured De Bruyne. Who many avoided for all the for the reasons you mentioned last week around funds and stuff. So that worked out well for you guys. So yeah, very very disappointing. A quick look at the chip spaffometer. For those who haven't seen it, this is where we measure the success or not of our chip usage over the season. I used my wild card in 24. I think it's very safe to say now that is spaffed. I spaffed my wild card unanimously. Yeah. And the triple captains we say, I think it's probably I put down as both as Rich, because it was just
30 points is better than 3 points, isn't it? But it's not a Rashford or a KDB smashed it, is it? I think we shouldn't have too much too much challenge from the chat on a meh.
No, I think
let us know if you think we've spaffed Haaland, but
archetypal meh. I think an FPL Fred, just to follow up, he says, if it helps, I've now got a full 11 as well for 26. Well done FPL Fred, outscoring me by 20 points, and I had 6 more doublers than you in a massive double. We move, Rich. I'm not gonna dwell. We've got the fixture ticker up now for the next few game weeks. Rich, can you just kind of give us a kind of updated lay of the land in terms of where we are and what we've got to look forward to over the coming weeks?
Yeah, things haven't really changed from a week ago, but just in case people weren't listening, we're a little bit closer now to the FA Cup matches. They kick off on so I think the first one's on Monday, but that's a non-league fixture. I think is it Coventry playing Maidstone or something. The Cup round 5 kicks off on Monday evening, and then we get our remaining Premier League teams playing their matches before game week 27 starts. So if ever there was a week to not make early transfers, it is next week. Because Absolutely. We will find out so much more information about blank game week 29 and the subsequent FA Cup draw, which we'll also get next week, I believe. And then that will start to shape predictions on what blank and double game week 34 will look like, and double game week 37 will look like. The content will come out in the gigabytes, by the end of the week next week to start forecasting when it's best to play your chips. So chip strategy decisions, just put them on hold, enjoy the cup matches, enjoy this week, concentrate on playing this week first, and then all that information will come through to you next week. In the meantime, though, we've got a blank game week right in front of us. So Liverpool, Spurs, Chelsea, and Luton are the 4 teams who are not playing this weekend. And if you look at your team, and it's anything like mine and Fergie's, it's probably full of players from those teams.
Littered.
So I have seen a number of members' teams this week, and believe me, mate, we're in fairly good shape compared to some.
Wow, really?
There are many, many teams out there that have got 6, 7, 8 players not playing. It's almost like they didn't know that the blank was happening, or they're planning to free hit and they're just going to hit their way out of it. So really it is team specific, but have a quick count up of how many players you're missing for this week, and then think about making some safe tactical transfers that get rid of your injured players and set you up perhaps for 26 and 29 as well. and improve that position, because there's certainly an opportunity to do that before we get the cup info.
Just before we look at the cup fixtures next week and what that potentially means for game week 29, a couple of questions. Firstly, Rich, I've seen a lot of questions this week around, how I play. I tend to play quite a lot of. I like to try and take what's in front of me rather than try and plan too far ahead. So there's a question this week, just for example, Wolves. Probably the short-term pick. They've got good fixtures. They're in good form. They've got good options. But they will very likely blank in 29, just as an example, as opposed to maybe West Ham, I think, who are not in form. They haven't got great options, but they do, or they're more likely than Wolves to play in 29. Now, my kind of take is, I would rather have good players in earlier. And kind of navigate through 29. I know that's very, very different to lots of engaged managers, but I do see a lot of people talking about just getting someone who's gonna have a game in 29. What's your take on that overall?
Okay, I mean, I get the logic in it, but if a team is out of form, West Ham being a classic example, if you still got Bowen in your team, he's not a priority for you to sell this week. No. But it doesn't feel particularly clever bringing him in when West Ham are getting dinged every week by
I like that
by their opposition. And until Paquetá comes back, it doesn't feel like West Ham are a good investment. And 4 weeks in FPL is a long time.
Absolutely.
It's a month elapsed time. There's an international break coming. Where things can happen as well. And it's a long time, so there's definitely an argument to play what's in front of you, especially when there are all sorts of assumptions being made about the FA Cup matches. And we'll come up to the odds in a minute, but when we'll go through the actual cup fixtures, because I think it's worth just having 5 minutes on those, because there's definitely shocks there or results that wouldn't even particularly shock me. The way Leicester are playing, the way Leeds are playing, 1 and 2 in the Championship. I mean, I rarely look at the Championship, but those are the top 2 teams in the Championship, and they're playing perfectly winnable fixtures in the cup next week. If they win those games, all that content we've been listening to is irrelevant, because all of a sudden you're going to get 3 or 4 extra fixtures coming into game week 29, and it won't be difficult to navigate. So really, there's definitely an argument for playing the game week in front of you. And I'm definitely looking at not worrying about buying a 29er this week. Okay. I'm going to do a different move that's just totally safe and wait for the information, and hopefully not take too many hits and get through to the information. After we've got the information, I think I'm going to play with a lot more freedom, and I will not have an issue taking hits in 27, 28, 29 to save a chip. But that information to me is paramount, really.
Yeah, agree. Just to answer FPL Copycat's question in the chat, which is a good one, he says, is Ben Crellin coming back on before game week 27? Ben Crellin will be on next Thursday, so after the conclusion of the game week, of the FA Cup results and subsequent draw, which I'm guessing will be done on the Wednesday night. Ben will be with us on the Thursday night. So Rich is away next week. He's away sunning himself on holiday. So we'll have Ben and probably a third person as well. So yeah, Ben will be on. So don't miss next week's episode, because it's going to be an absolute cracker. Let's have a look at the blank percentages in the FA Cup draw, Rich. You mentioned about the matches. Should we just have a quick look through and you can kind of say which ones you think. So Blackburn, Newcastle, what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah. Well, Newcastle aren't great defensively, are they, at the moment? Absolutely. I think they're ranked 20th of all the Premier League teams for expected goals conceded. They're a lot stronger at home than they are away. So let's look at, it says, according to Ben, the odds are that Newcastle are 77% likely to blank that game, which means I guess they're 77% likely to beat Blackburn, giving them a 23% chance of winning. Subjectively, feels to me like Blackburn have got more of a chance in that.
I agree.
You?
I agree.
I'd say 35-40%. You know,
I think I think as well is the element of the FA Cup as well. You know, it's getting serious now for these teams. You know, like what an atmosphere is going to be at Ewood Park. It's not just just a normal league game where they're 15th, 16th in the league and they're just going through the motions. I mean, it's gonna be huge. So I kind of agree with you. I think it's more kind of 60-40 Newcastle's way, but and it'll be settled on the night as well. So there's no replay.
Exactly. So you can easily see it going to extra time. But is there extra time? I mean, was it straight to penalties?
I'm not sure, but I know it's settled on the night.
I know they finish on the night. Exactly. So penalty shootouts in these games are, very much going to play into the underdog's hands almost. So they get much more of a chance without a replay. They get much more of a chance without extra time. So if they can get an early goal, any of these teams has got a good chance. So I'd say, Blackburn are in with a shout there. Yeah. Moving on down to the next one, Leeds. I'm a Chelsea supporter. Chelsea are one of the most inconsistent teams in the league. They are. You never know what you're going to get with Chelsea. They've been dire. They've won matches recently where they've been dire. Against Crystal Palace, they were awful for like 70 minutes and managed to come through in the last 20. Put up a decent fight against City, but ultimately, they couldn't hold on. I think Leeds. I think Andy Martin, well known to the community, he's been, forecasting Leeds are going to win that game, and I wouldn't disagree with him. I think Leeds have got a great chance of winning that cup tie, and that's going to give the majority of teams, template-ish teams, 3 or 4 extra players for game week 29. You can just see everyone will just pile into a third Arsenal asset. Absolutely. After that. Yeah. They'll hold Palmer if they've got it, and all of a sudden, instead of having 3 or 4 players for 29, you've got 7 or 8, and it becomes not even an issue to navigate that week. So that's a key game, and I think that's the biggest game for fantasy managers to keep an eye on next week.
Bournemouth-Leicester will be a really good match.
Yeah. Bournemouth obviously got double game weeks coming up. They're just, they're doing okay in the Premier League. I'm not sure how much of a priority the FA Cup is for Bournemouth. I think securing their safety and the double game week they're coming up against Luton and Sheffield United that we're all piling into Solanke for. I'm sure they'll try and win the game, but Leicester are how many points clear in the Championship? 8, something like that. They are, they're on it. They've got, what does the odds say? Can't see what odds Bournemouth are for not blanking. No, it's not
the Wolves.
No, of course it includes the Wolves odds. But yeah, I'd say you've got to give Leicester a 40% chance of winning that game, given their form.
And people will also potentially be doubled or tripled up on Bournemouth because of the double the previous week in 28 as well. So that's a massive fixture as well, because everyone will have Solanke as an absolute minimum, but some will have Neto in goals, or kind of other players as well. So again, that's a key fixture.
Absolutely, and if that comes through, then we can all pile into. You think you've got Neto already, but it sets you up. If he gets a 29 fixture, it's going to mean everyone can pile into Bournemouth with 3 players, and knowing they can navigate the blank on the back of it. So, yeah, huge game. So there's 3. You'd have to say that at least 1 out of those 3 is going to go the way of the lower team. It feels to me as if it won't. But the way we all seem to be talking is that we're not going to get any of those extra games, and the Premier League team is going to prevail. I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I think there's at least one there. There's going to be one. And as you say, it's not a shock. I don't think it's a shock, because we talked about they're all very 60-40 games, those, aren't they? I think so. Liverpool, Southampton. Southampton been doing well.
That's one where I maybe don't think. Apart from the injuries, if they get any more injuries in the final this Sunday, obviously Liverpool play Chelsea in the Carabao Cup final. They're walking wounded. Certainly, they've lost a lot of first team players, but even with their so-called second string last night,
they were phenomenal in the second half last night. So I think and Southampton again. I'm not a massive follower of the Championship, but I think they've had a bit of a blip recently, haven't they? Southampton as well. So I expect Liverpool to kind of win that reasonably comfortably. I think their second string is still a very, very good team, isn't it? Forest and Man United. I think I think I'd favour United, but Forest beat West Ham at home 2-0 last weekend. That's not a dead cert at all, right? They've got
no, it's not. No, it's not. And I think if you're holding a Man United player or even thinking of buying one this week, like Højlund or Garnacho, they're definitely on the watch list for many. I've got Maguire in my team. You know, they could yet be, you know, a very useful game week 29er because it's only going to take, you know, Forest win that game, then the Luton fixture is off in 29, and the Man U Sheffield United
and
fixture
that is a good
on.
fixture for Man United. Wow, all the free hitters will be targeting that game only for like a triple up Højlund, Garnacho, and Bruno or someone like that. So yeah, definitely. Wolves and Brighton should be a really good game because Wolves have found a bit of form. Brighton up and down. That should be a cracker. That to me is a complete 50-50. I have no idea who's going to win that one.
I agree. I just think that it doesn't really impact 29 too much because you've still got to get the other result of Brighton beating City, I think it is. Is it? I can't remember what
Luton and City.
If Luton don't beat City, then that game will still be off. That Wolves and Brighton are playing, so that one's very unlikely to go ahead. But nevertheless, you know, you never know who's going to get through, and the knock-on effect down the line of whoever gets through can still impact doubles later on. So yeah, and then the final one, we'll forget Coventry Maidstone. That's just one for the BBC, I think. And Luton and Manchester City. Yeah, I think that's a City win, right? You know, given the two examples of Luton's defence we saw over the weekend.
Yeah, definitely.
But
City and Liverpool, I would say a dead cert. I say dead cert, as close to dead cert as you can get. I'd probably put Man United third in that list, away to Forest. But I think Newcastle, Chelsea, Bournemouth, Wolves, and Brighton, I really think are incredibly close. So I can envisage anywhere between 2 to 5 blanks. I think. I don't think it's going to be as big as we think.
I think if I was going to guess, I'd say there'll be 2 unexpected results at least from that list. Yep. That's how it feels to me.
Right. And so, what does that mean, Rich? I suppose for our FPL teams, kind of going through there. We've got a page here of potential transfers in for this week. You've highlighted a few players. I would add Højlund onto this list. And I know you had to maybe we can only fit 5 on the slide, but Hwang, 5.5 million, incredibly popular this week. Rightly so, I think. With Cunha still out, I think he'll take his place up front against a very weak Sheffield United, very good player. Odegaard in as potential, third Arsenal player. Douglas Luiz, Villa look good, and and those who haven't got Solanke or Watkins, or Solanke and Watkins there as well. I just want to talk through the best options and who you think are the best options for the week.
Yeah, I think you've got most of them covered here. There are more than the 5, but you've really, for 2 different reasons. There's a lot of teams seem to be winning 5-0 at the moment, don't they? Arsenal seem to be beating teams 5-0, and Sheffield United seem to be losing 5-0 every week. So Wolves play Sheffield United at home on the weekend, and Hwang looks like the main man for them while Cunha's out, and scored 10 goals already this season. I think he's 10 goals and 3 assists, and Neto might be the other way around, 3 goals and 10 assists or something. So Neto's the assister. I think you've got him, haven't you? And I wouldn't write him off. I know you'd probably wish you had Hwang, but I mean Neto's could still be the shout. I think you've got a couple of Wolves players, so that's one thing off your wild card you're in good shape for. I think that will be a big win for Wolves, but a longer term pick. Why I might hold off on either Odegaard or Hwang is I just want that extra information that we've just been discussing, because a lot of people have got Jota, and rightly so, we need to move him out. But with my team, I can wait a week, and then there might be some more options. What I just looking at the slightly bigger picture, because I've got relatively low team value. My team value is about 104 million. I don't really want to get rid of Palmer. He was 4.9. I don't want to have to buy him back for the doubles for like an extra million. I don't really want to get rid of Anthony Gordon if I don't have to. So the number of offs, as I call it, that I've got in my midfield is limited. You know, I've got Saka, he's not going anywhere. So that Jota slot is a precious slot to not be stuck on the wrong player with. And if I was to just bring Douglas Luiz in, who's on the, you know, is he on the slide? Yeah, right at the front there. If I was to bring Dougie in, that's fine. But do I want Douglas Luiz for 4 weeks just so I can cover game week 29? When I could have Odegaard if Chelsea lose to Leeds, or I could have Son in for Jota next week when they play, who they play? Crystal
Home
Palace.
to Palace next week,
yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, I've got other options in game week 27 to lose Jota in that spot. Now, your man on the right-hand side there, Dom Solanke, he might have Manchester City this week, but it's a home game. They play Burnley the week after, and then they double against arguably the two easiest teams to beat in the league, Luton and Sheffield United. So pretty much everyone's got to make a Solanke transfer if they don't own him already. So I think the safer transfer to make, you know, if you're still looking to save the free hit in 29, is to get rid of Darwin and bring in Solanke this week. And that is my likely move.
Oh wow, okay.
I've already decided that I might do it tonight. I'll have a look at the prices. I might do it before I fly off. But yeah, I might bring Solanke in this week and just pen that Darwin move because of having more choice over the midfielder. If you go for Hwang this week or you go for a non-29er, you're just, I think, laying yourself more open to the free hit in 29.
Kind of like a Hail Mary that you
as long as you
it.
consciously know that, I think, and you're all right with it, it's fine. But you'll just find, you'll take a look at it in game week 27 and you'll probably go, oh, I've only got three players or 4 players, you know, I'm gonna have to take 3 or 4 hits to get 8 or 9 out in 29. It'll just make you think, oh, sod it, I'll free hit.
Yeah,
that's how I think it might play out. Whereas if you just buy a player this week, make a move somewhere in your team that helps you get 11 players out for 26, and just wait for those cup results, you'll find you've got more flexibility. That's just the way it feels to me.
Yeah, I think it's very sensible.
Team specific, but it's just the way it feels to me.
I don't think it's exciting for 26, but I get it. There's a bigger game up you know, a play in there. So yeah, I completely get it. It makes absolute sense. It also depends on your rank, on where you are. It's massive. It's massive that as well. So yeah, makes sense. Hoyland's on form, and he's one kind of definitely got my, well, I say got my eye. And the problem is the number of forward slots, right? Because obviously Haaland is in most people's team now. Solanke is going to be in every single FPL manager's team, you know, over the next 3 weeks. Watkins has got Forest, then and then Luton, I think, is next 2 games. There are certain people stuck with Adebayo as well, you know, and there's other options as well. So it's just finding the room for all these players, isn't there? So if you knew you were free hitting in 29 already, Rich, if you kind of made the commitment to yourself in your head, would you be would Hwang, for example, be a priority sort of transfer in?
I think if I was committed to free hitting and I was comfortable with that, I would probably sell both. I would probably sell both Darwin and Jota this week, and I'd have Hwang in. I'd just get him in for the upside of the Sheffield United fixture. He sticks out as being the one to bring in for the shorter term fixtures, regardless of 29. But I don't think he's necessarily going to find many people buying him in game week 27, because Spurs assets then come back onto the agenda. And if you want both Richarlison and Son for 29 and you're not free hitting, or you've already free hit, then, you know, Spurs attacking assets are going to be very popular. And again, you need the spots, you need the slots to have them, and Hwang may be taking up one of those spots by them. So, you know, so next week, I think he's a transfer for this week, but not necessarily for the week after.
Just a couple of questions we've had in the chat. FPL Freddy, how many is free hit normally worth over non-free hit? You know, he's thinking around, you know, around the benefit of a free hit in, you know, in 29. It does vary, right? But I think it's a powerful, a potential to be a a powerful chip, particularly in a double game week. But it just varies, don't it? What would you say, Rich?
Yeah, I mean, we all normally say you normally want a gain of about 15 points on the non-free hitters. So, I mean, it is possible with some apps like Live FPL. I think you can estimate what your team got on a free hit versus the non-free hitters. I think a success would be like a 15-point gain on the field, if that makes sense. I don't know whether you'll get that in game week 29 with such few fixtures. But also, I don't know whether you'll get that in a weak double game week, because we've just had a very strong double game week where people with fewer doublers have done much better than people with loads of doublers, haven't we? So, you could go gung-ho on a free hit with Everton, Crystal Palace, Fulham players in game week 34 and find that you've left Saka out again, or you've left, Salah out because he's got one game or whatever. And they bang, which they just did. So yeah, it's difficult. I think I'd still prefer to play the upside of the big doubles, just because there is that potential for that 160, 180 type point game week there. And because I'm chasing, because I'm a long way down, I'd rather have that potential for points than try and just survive. If I was up the top and protecting a rank, I might be keener to sort of, not have a risky week in 29 and cover it. It's different ways to play.
There are. In terms of players to remove, there are some problem children, as you've said. We just want to talk us through those. I've got 3 of these, and I'm not sure what to do with a couple of them.
Yeah, I got rid of one, and I've currently got 2 of them. So the lad at the back there, Purvis Estupiñán, let's start with him. He's getting a start for me this week. I have absolutely no idea if he's going to start. He's been a fairly disastrous own for the 30% or so fantasy managers that own him. Looked really good when he came back from injury. Scored a couple of goals in consecutive weeks, straight back into the team,
FA Cup as well.
And then De Zerbi just decided to take out a couple of defeats, a couple of late goals. It was his fault, and he dropped him straight away. Brought in Tariq Lamptey in his place. Lamptey's now been playing, and I think he's played in a couple of victories for Brighton. But then this other young lad, I think, can't remember his name, he got injured, and everyone thought, well, that's it. Estupiñán would be back in his place, and he didn't play him last weekend, and that was against Sheffield United, wasn't it? I can't remember who was. No, it wasn't Sheffield United. Who were they playing?
I can't think of Brighton playing.
It was Sheffield United.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, they won 5-0. Yeah. And Estupiñán didn't start. He got 9 minutes at the end. So we're really going in. Fingers crossed. He'll probably get on the pitch, but if you're playing him and he's one of your only 11, because most people won't have a bench this week, do you risk it? Do you start him, or do you take him out, because you could swap him for Gabriel for the same price if you haven't got him already? You could get Saliba in. You could get a 29er, that's nailed this week, and just get that extra fixture, dispense with the wrong transfer, and deal with it that way. So certainly he's an issue. Darwin, we don't actually know how badly Darwin is injured at the moment, do we? If he's being saved for the final, he could yet be useful in game week 27, and you get an extra fixture out of him at Nottingham Forest. Or he could be in bits and not be back for weeks. So we don't actually know what to do with Darwin. I'm probably going to sell Darwin, because blank in 26, blank in 29, and needing that striker spot for Solanke. So it's just a question of, do you defer the Darwin transfer? Jota didn't even make this slide because he's confirmed as injured for months, and so he just needs to be dealt with, really. And then there's your man at the front, Adebayo. What do we do with him? You can't sell him, not with a double in 28, can you? You've got to see if he's okay, haven't you?
I think so, but who do I not? Well, who do I not have? Or you've got to have Solanke and Watkins for. You've got to have Watkins for 26, 27. You've got to have Solanke for 27, 28. It means Haaland may have to drop to keep Adebayo, 4.9 million player, and then
what if Luton get a 29 fixture? You'll have to keep him till game week 30.
Yeah, it's interesting with him. I think I'm gonna have to hold on to him. I mean, the way it kind of works out, I think you got to have Watkins this week. You got to have Solanke in 27. You don't have to have Adebayo in 27. Obviously, by the time the double rolls around in 28, you could potentially take out Haaland, because he's very likely, and we'll know, but he's very likely going to blank in 29 because they got Luton.
And they've got Liverpool in 28, so you can risk it against Liverpool not playing him. However, I think that Liverpool fixture is probably pretty good for Haaland, to be honest. I'd
look at the defence they had last night. They had four of the back five were not first teamers. So
exactly. De Bruyne's an interesting one. Now, he was really my, where that little logo comes up of the skull, which means if this guy bangs, your rank is going to go through the floor. So I've gone from fearing him as my most feared player that I don't own to actually being quite glad I don't own him, because he's now, a real headache for owners for the weekend. He's expensive. We don't know how badly his hamstring niggle is. Could he get another benching? Is he going to be out completely? Do you sell him now? I mean, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think?
Well, this is the position I'm in, right? So I can use my 2 free transfers to get 10 players. I can either take out then Richarlison, who's blanking, for Hwang to get 11 out, or I can take De Bruyne out for Hwang because I want Richarlison for 27 when they're home to Palace. I could take is taking a playing player out.
Does feel like a luxury.
Does it sound crazy when I've got someone who's not playing?
And then De Bruyne starts and smashes it against Bournemouth.
And Hwang gets pulls a hammy, and then as he's walking off the pitch too slowly, so the ref gives him a red card on his way, and then even more of a bloody mess. So yeah,
I think you've got to give him Bournemouth, haven't you? You've got to give him Bournemouth and see.
I think we have to, but it just means if he's in your beer 11, you're down to 10. Or if you're down to 10, you're down to 9 if he doesn't play. I mean, we'll know more in the press, in the press conferences. We'll know that. But he didn't even warm up on Tuesday night. He wasn't involved in the pre-match warm up. He didn't warm up when the subs were running around. He was on the bench, but he wasn't involved in any kind of warm up, which it was a precaution. Does he go from that to making the start in 11? I don't know.
I think it's a benching. If I was going to guess, I'd say it was a benching. But then again, I thought Ake would play both games and bought him, and he didn't play, did he? So we don't know. None of us know what goes in the mind of Mr. Guardiola, do we? We don't know.
And Porro, the final one, who's still in lots of teams. But Spurs defensively are just a bit of a mess. And since Maddison has come back, I think Porro's attacking numbers haven't been great, have they? So
yeah, I sold him last week for Ake. I don't think I'm any better off really with Ake than Porro. I'd probably put out another fire and just see if he comes back for that Palace game, because if you're trying to navigate 29, he's a valuable extra player for 29, and I probably wish I still had access to him. Whether I'll buy him back or not, I don't think so. I'd probably go for Udogie because he was cheaper if I was buying a Spurs asset now, but he could yet be of use to fantasy managers, I think. So, but yeah, if he's your only issue, then definitely you could look to move him on.
Predicted points for the next 3 game weeks. You can look at these yourselves in any way you want on fantasyfootballhub.co.uk. Predicted points. I haven't put in 29. Obviously, we normally look 4 game weeks in advance, but I haven't put in 29 because we don't know who's going to play in 29. So the next 3 game weeks, Haaland is top, 23.6, unsurprisingly. Solanke second, 21.4. Obviously, he has the extra fixture, which is why he's kind of bang up there. Saka 19.2, Watkins 17.3, Tony 17, De Bruyne. He's not showing. I don't think he's showing as flagged, De Bruyne yet. If he is flagged at all, so he's still quite high up there. Tavernier and Neto are next. Obviously, this includes the doubles in 28. Bowen is still up there. Do you know what? He's frustrating because his recent stats have been through the floor, but our algorithm kind of does take into account historical performance, and checked his stats because I couldn't believe he was up there still, but he's still all right. He's still ready to score 15 points the next 4 weeks. Chan is then in there, 15. We've mentioned him. Huang Garnacho is probably going to be a popular pick over the next few weeks. Odegaard, Senesi, 4.5 million Bournemouth defender. It looks like the best defensive option for Bournemouth after Neto in goal.
He's in your team, isn't he?
Senesi. He is. Yeah, got him already. He scored in 24 when I put him on the bench, so that was nice. It does show, attacking intent, but he was getting splinters on my bench in that one. And then a few others there. So I don't think there's any kind of massive shocks there, really. I think Bowen included. I mean, he's probably not one you're gonna look to buy, but he could potentially be, look to be one to hold. We were laughing a few weeks back. I don't know if you remember, Rich. I don't know if you remember, but 3 weeks ago we put up these predicted points. I don't know if you can remember who was top, but I was almost embarrassed to read it out. And that name was Bukayo Saka, because he was being touted at that point of being only gets the odd assist. He's staying out on the wing. He's being double marked. Get rid of him. Yep. And since then, he scored 31 points in 2 games, four goals in 2 games. So these predictions, I'd say, are not to be sniffed at. There's a lot goes into these algorithms. So, it's judging on that, I'd hold Bowen personally. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else truly kind of shocking or surprising in there.
No, we haven't mentioned Tony this evening. No. I think Tony's still a good option for this week. I think if you have got striker spots and you want to go a little bit off the template, there's no reason to not bring in Tony. I think if you bring in Tony and you've got to make room for Solanke, then selling Haaland briefly, maybe buying him back on a wild card could be a strategy certainly for 29, but maybe 28 if you're willing to go without that Liverpool fixture. And then you can squeeze Tony in, get another 29er, not worry about the Solanke fixture against City, for instance. He scored in 4 out of 5 matches since he's come back. Yeah. So Brentford are a bit up and down, but Tony's still knocking them in, and he's on pens. So another good pick. I'm not surprised to see him near the top of the list. So it's quite easy to cover the top 5 on that list. And De Bruyne might be the one that makes way for many.
We'll see. Captain for this week, on predicted points for Gameweek 26, again, fantasyfootballhub.co.uk, Haaland top 7.6 points predicted against Bournemouth. Bournemouth are interesting one, aren't they? Because they went through like a real tight spell defensively where they were second for XGC, and then Liverpool just went to Bournemouth, you remember, and battered them 4-0 away. So they're quite inconsistent, and I think it's tough to go against Haaland again. Saka second, even though they got Newcastle 6.7, Watkins third, Tony fourth, and on the vote, I only popped the vote up kind of earlier today.
It's quite hardly any votes. I mean, I'd say Saka's my vice at the moment over Watkins, just because of the pens and Newcastle's defence, I think, and his form. I'd probably, there are, if you want to go against the horde, captaining Saka's not a bad bet on this form. But we've gone there before, and Arsenal are the sort of team that can share the goals around. So
that's what we were saying Haaland, 3 weeks ago.
A safe bet. Yeah, exactly. Haaland is the is still the standout, I think. But Saka, very good vice captain, I think.
Yeah, Haaland for me. I'm bringing Saka back in.
I
don't know. I don't know.
Jossie, I did a Zoom session with the Ultras last night, and Jossie joined me actually. Who's for those who don't know, he works for the Hub and produces a fixture planner for members, and Jossie sold Saka for KDB, and then went 1 week, went 1 15-point haul, and then immediately bought him back. Really rectified his error and brought him back in. Yeah, straight away
in the double game week.
And got 15 points.
Good man.
It's not
well played, Jossie.
Yeah,
good stuff. Fergie is a punt from game week 26 to 29. I've actually gone for someone who's in my he's in my team. So there's so many incredible midfield and forward options. I was thinking, who can we look at from defense just for a bit of a change, because there's not many defenders at the moment who are doing incredibly well. Potentially Arsenal defenders, but those stuck with Porro, Estepinian. There's just no one excited. No one's keeping clean sheets. But there is a team that they're going on a great run of fixtures. This player has taken up some very good attacking positions in recent weeks. Looked at the heat map, nailed in the team, and he's only 0.7% owned.
Wow.
My punt for the next few weeks, if you are looking for a defender, looking for a loaned punt, is Ryan Aït-Nouri from Wolves. He has taken up some really good positions in the box in the last few weeks. They got Sheffield United this week, Newcastle away. Kind of a poor defensive unit in Newcastle at the moment. Then home to Fulham, and home to Bournemouth in 29, assuming that one goes ahead. So I think the next 3 to 4 fixtures for Wolves are looking good. I'm considering a triple up on Wolves. Just to go with my triple up of Luton and Bournemouth.
That's right.
Yeah, we'll talk about that now.
Yeah, how much is Aït-Nouri?
4.5.
4.5.
He's cheap. He's nice and cheap.
Yeah.
We've got your team, Rich, on screen now. Do you want to talk us through your thoughts for the week?
Okay, yeah. I mean, the main good thing about my team is that I can get 11 players out with one free transfer, or 11 players that theoretically have a fixture, which is, a favorable position to a lot of teams out there. There's going to be a lot of hits this week. I'm quite keen to not take a hit if I can, because of just the small marginal gain that will get me. I have Martinez in goal. I'm seeing Martinez appear on certain wildcards or certain free hit suggestions this week. So good keeper, good start. Gabriel, obviously fine at home to Newcastle. I've got Maguire. 70% sure he'll start again. He was hooked after a booking in the weekend fixture. I think that was just the manager being careful about the players on yellow cards, but he took him off at half time. I still think he'll probably start, even though his performance wasn't that great at the weekend. So I got Maguire. Ake, I think he was rested after 8 or 9 consecutive starts for City. So got Ake in the back. And then we've talked about him as Estupiñán. I'm going to give him the fixture. If he doesn't start this one, then he's definitely out next week. But with the additional intelligence that we'll get for the cup games, will help me choose a replacement for him. So going with a 4-man defence. Into the midfield, Saka, vice captain this week. Great fixture against Newcastle. Foden, again, hoping he remains nailed. He's played 24 out of 25 games, I think, for City. Alvarez is the only player who's started every league game for City. I think Foden is the next most consistent starter. Anthony Gordon seems to play every game for Newcastle now. May get another start up front. I think Isak is closing in on a return, but Gordon was on pens, which is good to see. Could be on pens again. So he gets to start. Palmer is shown on the graphic, but Palmer will be benched this week. He has no fixture. And then up front, I've got Haaland and Watkins. Watkins got a great fixture at home to Forest this week, and is a good vice captaincy shout himself. So my transfer will liably be Darwin to Solanke. Get that done a week early. I think Solanke will rocket in price over the next 3 weeks, and grabbing him now, he'll probably be 7.3 by the time we get to game week 28. So he'll get me a little bit of precious team value if I bring him in for Darwin. And I'll just hold Jota on the bench. I'll probably lose a little bit of value on Jota, but I just value that extra information from the cup matches before I sell him for the best mid next week. So it'll be one transfer. And for once, I agree with the Hub AI. The Hub recommends I sell Darwin for Solanke, and I'm in total agreement with that suggestion.
Lovely stuff, Rich. Team is looking in good shape. Looking like you have a good week.
Thank you.
Chips in hand. Lovely stuff. Well played. My team looks very different from yours. I've got Neto. So I got double Bournemouth defence against Man City. So I've got Neto and Senesi.
What's your other keeper?
Neto.
What's your other keeper?
Kaminsky. I've got him.
And who's he playing?
He's blanks. I've got him in.
I'd probably play Kaminsky.
I've got him in for the double in 28 still, so I've got something. Right. Mind you. Oh no, I haven't, because Neto doubles in 28 anyway. So I got Kaminsky in for last week. So Neto, Senesi, Gabriel, 8 Norrie, who I think is decent. I think he's a decent option. De Bruyne, Foden. I've got Neto in play already, and Haaland. So Adebayo is sorry, not Adebayo. Yeah, this was why I was going to pick Saka over Richarlison on my wild card for this game week 26, because at the moment, what's that? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Five blankers, haven't you? At the moment,
I've got 8
plus a risk on De Bruyne.
So I've got 8 players. I have got 2 free transfers, but I know what I'm doing. There's no way I'm not doing these transfers. I am doing Jota and Darwin to Saka and Watkins. Talk about retrospective backward moves. But that does leave me 0.1 short.
Oh, no.
Which is so painful. It physically hurts my stomach just even saying it. So I'm not. So I want to get those 2 in. I've got to take a hit. And this is what I mentioned earlier. I'm contemplating. I really want Hwang. I just think if I'm going to salvage my season, I've got to. I'm getting some stick in the chat. Pepin,
someone mailing me going, "Don't
says,
do it."
What the hell is this teammate?
And don't let him do it. Don't let him get a triple Wolves.
Torben, are you on a suicide mission, Fergie, with that defense? Not the best, but yeah, I would say I'm not very off. I don't think I've ever admitted this. I am on tilt. as people in the poker world will know.
You're the nicest person I've ever met on tilt, mate.
I think what I'm going to do. Do you know if I sold De Bruyne for Hwang, and De Bruyne smashed it, I think I don't know what I do. I don't think I could come on next week. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell Richarlison, which I know will come back and bite me, right? I know that, but I'm going to sell Richarlison for Hwang. So I'll have triple Wolves to go along with my...
rid of a 29er for a non-29er.
Oh, I'm not 29ing, mate.
For a hit.
I couldn't give a rat's ass about game week 29, right? I could not care less. I am free hitting.
All right, you're nailing. Nailing.
I don't give a monkeys about 29. I really don't. I'm just trying to get through these next few weeks. So I think I'm bringing in Hwang for triple Wolves. It'll give you 11 players this week. And then next Mike says Habai doesn't look impressed here. I will bring oh my god.
What is Habai suggesting you to?
Habai is suggesting, as usual, 2 very, very sensible transfers. Jota to Saka and Darwin to Solanke, which I could afford.
Okay.
But I can't.
Okay, why don't you do that then and forget about Watkins?
Because I can't not have Watkins against Forest and Luton. That is suicide to me. That is just asking for trouble. I can't do it. And I want Hwang anyway. I'm having Hwang. Rick Williams says I could do with another wild card. I could. But in the meantime, I'm going to go for it. I think I'm gonna take Richarlison out for Hwang. Who's Hwang? For Hwang, and just try and sail through this week. I think my transfer next week then will be. I think that means
you might as well get Richarlison in next.
Do you know Richarlison back?
I'll recommend you buy Richarlison.
I don't even think I can do that move, right? Because it means I can't afford then to do Adebayo to Solanke in 27. I'd have to take Haaland out in 27. Who's Haaland got in 27? Who's City got in 20? I don't even want to look. Who's City got in 27? If I do this, it basically means I'm committing. Oh, they're home to Man United.
No, that's an easy fixture for them.
Jeez, I don't know what I'm doing, mate.
You can't sell Haaland. I think he got 2 hat tricks in that game a couple of years ago.
Don't see that, for goodness sake.
I think no. I think you need to get your calculator out, and I think you look. I know this is I think this is most people's best fun part of the show when you do your team. I think you've got Wolves cover, right? There is an argument that Neto is just as good a Wolves asset as 8 Norrie. Okay.
That's Hwang.
And you've got Aït-Nouri.
That's Hwang, you mean? Sorry.
So Hwang, yeah, it's just as good as an asset as Hwang. You've got Neto. Neto could be on penalties. You don't know Hwang's on penalties. Neto's the senior player out of the two. Aït-Nouri is also very attacking. They may not beat Sheffield United 5-0, even though everyone expects them to. I think you're all right for Wolves. I wouldn't hit an extra Wolves player in. You're also, regardless of whether you're free hitting 29 or not, even if you do free hit 29, you're going to have Richarlison on a free hit because there aren't enough good players to put in a free hit in 29. And then you'll end up paying more for him, even though that week you'll have loads of money. I just think Richarlison, given Tottenham's fixtures, is a very sensible player to hold on to. I'd probably think about selling Virgil before I sold Richarlison out of the players that you've got who are blanking. If you want the extra money, come off Virgil and get in Saliba, so you get the extra money. Just think about different ways to do it.
Well, Habai is very sensible, and it's saying Jota to Saka and Darwin to Solanke, and that means I don't have to take a hit. It means I can keep De Bruyne, I can keep Richarlison. I don't have Hwang. And I have 10 players. That sounds sensible.
10 players.
But I won't have Watkins against Forest or Luton.
I know, but you can't have everybody. I mean, no one's got everybody.
I won't have Watkins or Hwang. Mind you, sorry, Hwang is more of a player I'm kind of excited about.
Yeah, but you have got how many people have got Neto and Aït-Nouri already? You don't.
No one, because they're bloody rubbish.
Yeah, I know, but then don't. Wolves are Wolves, Bournemouth are Bournemouth. You don't have to triple.
No,
up
you're
on
right.
These teams.
You are right. I think I'll do the AI recommended the transfers. I think they're very sensible actually, and it means no hit.
I think they are. So Solanke coming in a week early is really sensible, and it just you always talk about getting ahead of the curve. You don't want to be buying Solanke when he's going up every 5 minutes in game week 28.
Because he's a definite transfer in next week, so I'm booking that transfer in, aren't I? Yeah. I think that's what I'll probably do.
Good man.
Anyway, glad to entertain if nothing else. If you want your own AI recommended transfers, don't forget to go to fantasyfootballhub.co.uk/my team. Link is below. Jan Kaliowski says Fergie is indecisive. Dave from the Fats Show. Thank you very much, Jan. Absolutely. Sarabia, we've had some shouts for Sarabia. He's looked really good, but he does only tend to play an average of about 70 minutes. That's the only problem with him. So, okay. That is it from us for this week. Thank you so much to those who joined in the chat, those who watch it back, and those who on the podcast versions. Your support, as usual, is very, very much appreciated. Aman says Adam's going to watch this back and piss himself. Yes, he is. Rich, thank you so much for joining me. At least, Rich, with the two of us, we're getting the separate sides of the coin. You're getting the very sensible, mature, intelligent FPL play with you, and that and then you get the kind of casual with me. We're just playing week to week. Jason Stillen says get some Sheffield Uniteds in, Fergie. Yeah, why not? I've got all the other knobheads, haven't I? So I may as well get the rest of them in. Yes. Pepian says getting ahead of the curve. He's building his 24-25 season team right now by the looks. Absolutely. Yeah. Where can people get hold of you, Rich?
At Rich Clarke FPL on Twitter. Love to hear from you.
Good stuff. My Twitter handle is @FFH_Fergie. This podcast and video will be in the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel, where the podcast version is available on all major podcast platforms. If you like what you watched, please press the like button. If you've enjoyed, please press like. It means the world to us. Remember to subscribe to the channel in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. If you enjoyed your listen, please rate the podcast and leave a comment. We'll be back next week. Rich is away, but I'll be joined by the one and only Ben Krellin, and likely a third podcaster as well, as we assess the best chip strategies following the FA Cup 5th round results. In the meantime, we hope you have a great blank Gameweek 26, and may all your arrows be green. Good night all.